Weird that was even approved because I'm thinking back on it, I'm like, there's no biological blueprint for a
For not
non-binary
being
top
one or the
surgery.
other.
I will never be a top again because I lost my penis to affirming care. It's something that I never thought would happen to me.
In case you've been living under a rock the past 6-7 years, trans identities and non-binary identities have been skyrocketing in the West. The issue really isn't with the identities, it's the laws and societal expectations that come with it. You know, like forced pronouns, freedom of speech issues. And because of that, this has now happened. Norwegian filmmaker faces 3 years in prison for saying men cannot become a lesbian. Let's read the quote. "It's just as impossible for men to become a lesbian as it is for men to become pregnant. Men are men regardless of their sexual fetishes. This is a real thing." Comments appear to be under investigation for falling under a 2020 amendment to the country's penal code that added gender identity and gender expression under protected categories from hate speech. People found guilty of hate speech face a fine of up to 1 year in prison for private remarks and a maximum of 3 years for public comments. Other issues, obviously, that I've covered on this channel regarding recent gender ideology is that many of these transitions wind up being deeply regretted. A lot of them are causing irreversible damage. And of course, creeps taking advantage of self-identification laws. Here's a little bit of that new data from Gays Against Groomers' own Becky Weiss.
Does not always equal causation. However, sometimes two variables are so undeniably intertwined with one another that you cannot deny the cause and effect relationship between the two. Gender dysphoria cases more than doubling over the last 5 years is absolutely one of these cases. The above graph shows gender dysphoria cases by state. You can see in every single one of these states cases have at least doubled, if not tripled, over the last 5 years. Here's a graph coming out of insurance claims based on gender dysphoria diagnoses, increasing 122% over the last 5 years. Finally, we have the insurance claims for puberty blockers increasing by 120% over the last 5 years. With this data in mind, there are 3 things that I would like you to consider. Number 1, the narrative being pushed on social media. Number 2, money going into big pharma's pockets.
It really is such a shame that so many young women are making such extreme mistakes. My goal on this channel always has and always will be to love yourself to the best of your ability, physically, mentally, emotionally, which is why I want to thank today's sponsor, Tracy's Dog, because they've always been supportive of people feeling good in their bodies, no matter what choices they decided to make. They came out with this amazing new sex toy, the OG Pro 2. Here's what it looks like. It uses pleasure air technology to hit external and internal pleasure spots to get a double climax simultaneously without making direct contact, by the way. The OG Pro 2 gives you an option to explore different types of stimulation with 10 different sucking and vibration settings, and each can be controlled independently by using a remote. You can use it yourself or let your boyfriend or girlfriend use it on you. It's a USB rechargeable, it is waterproof, it is made with body safe silicone. So if you guys want to enjoy yourselves, go and check out Tracy's Dog and support companies that support this channel. More and more people, especially kids, transitioning, naturally we are going to see an influx of detransitioners. I was very lucky to speak to 4 of them in a recent Rumble live stream. And we have 3 detrans individuals, 2 guys, 1 girl.
I had my surgery 7 years ago and I was 100% convinced I was a woman and you couldn't tell me otherwise. I thought I will never need that part of me. Now that I'm detransitioning or trying to, and taking testosterone, you know, I have the desires to top, you know, and I realize that I will never be able to do that. And it's very traumatic.
Hi guys, for those who don't know me, my name is Abel Garcia. I'm a male to male detransitioner. Immediately on my first appointment with a therapist, she immediately affirmed me as a transgender woman.
On the first appointment?
Yes. Said that she did not want to gatekeep me when I asked her why. I'd say with it, not even a year after accepting the hormone she gave me, I was given a letter for both top and bottom surgery. This part's important because I had only asked about getting top surgery, not bottom. There's a part of me that knew that was going to be more permanent. This doctor had given me the letter for both.
Yeah, it's insane thinking about it because, like, I had this history of trauma, like a history of mental illness as well. I started believing I was non-binary back in 2016. I had tried everything else to stabilize my mental health, believed I was non-binary. I had discomfort with my breast and my hips. Through 2 Zoom sessions, approved of top surgery, and it was a gender-neutral top surgery. Like, I got the surgery. Part of it was like the scars were more curved or something, and then they moved the fat towards the center a little bit.
How does that, I mean, they have to create something, I guess.
Shapeshifter says it best. That would be like a designer surgery because it's like bizarre Frankenstein sort of concoction. But my doctors took my non-binary identity more seriously than the health complications I got from the surgery.
Okay, we got our money's worth. Now you send them to the throw them to the wolves. So now all of you guys know that you are not, in fact, trans or non-binary. What made you think that you were in the first place and want to transition?
Quickly internalized homophobia and just trying to conform, to be honest, to expectations of society, because I didn't feel like I could exist in society as a feminine man who prefers to wear things that are considered more feminine. That's it. And that made me feel like because I like those things, I must be a woman, you know? And I felt like attraction to men as a man was sinful and harmful. And I'm still struggling with internalized homophobia. I'm still not fully over it. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Being Mexican, my culture is very masculine, very machismo. So for some reason, my brain assumed that if I'm not a good enough boy to be eventually a man, I must have been a woman.
In 6th grade, I had some trauma around being a woman, around like sexuality. It was really the trauma that started it, because then I started like identifying more with these boy anime characters. It wasn't until I got to college and I was introduced to like gender ideology that I heard what non-binary was. And I just really wanted an out for both of them, out, and sort of this escapism for me.
All of you are very brave for what you had to go through and for coming on to something like this, coming on a podcast, a channel, whatever, possibly getting, a shit ton of hate. But I want you to keep in mind that these stories not potentially will definitely help people not make these same mistakes. I really do believe that. As much as I don't want to say this, I'm going to say this just for the simple fact that I really hope people hear it. All three of your stories are something that people like myself and Buck Angel and Blair and just other lesbians and gay people have been saying for the last 3-4 years, that we felt like a lot of people were transitioning because of internalized homophobia or other mental health issues. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not happy that I was right. But now that I know that we were correct, I guess we at least have a place where we can start and go from there. And I think now enough people are coming out as detrans that almost all of them have the same exact previous issues. But I think it's nice that all of you guys are coming together.
Because I was a women's studies minor, and I remember in one of the classes, one of the professors was like, suggesting that we were depressed because of sexism. And even at the time, I was like, that's odd. Like, that's a very simple view of depression, which is a very complex thing. I've done so much therapy, but one of the best things one of my therapists said to me was, Camille, you're digging the hole, but you're digging it wider, and you're not digging yourself out of it. And I feel like that's something very similar with feminism that I was experiencing, and with this gender ideology, was that, well, I'm depressed because people are misgendering me, versus like what I really needed was my health taken care of.
What is the best way people can help detransitioners? That's a really good question. I'll give the floor to each of you guys. Whoever, we can go clockwise again.
Okay, just follow us on social media, support us, share our stories, our videos. That's like the easiest, cheapest way to support the transitioners.
Due to Chloe Cole just submitting a lawsuit, unfortunately, I can't say more than that. There are. I'm just looking for the future, but the horizon shows there's going to be lawsuits. So once those do start showing up, there's obviously that way you can also help us with financially, because I know lawsuits are not cheap.
But I do know of an organization of clinicians called the Gender Exploratory Therapy Association that is trying to work on, I think they do have a clinical guide that they are releasing, talking about exploring ethical exploratory therapy that is appropriate for those with gender dysphoria, their families, and detransitioners.
What did you do to transition?
To transition, I had facial work, breast augmentation, bottom surgery, To detransition, bottom surgery is irreversible, so I cannot really get a phalloplasty, so I'm stuck with genitals that I have, which is approximation of female genitals. For top surgery, I have to remove my breast, so I do have an appointment at Mass General to go see like how much it's gonna cost, what are my options. That's like ultimate goal eventually. My face is my face. Like there's really, I mean, I know there is facial masculinization surgery, but it doesn't sound really safe. And I don't know. At the end of the day, I just want to try to feel comfortable right now as the way I am. That's like the ultimate goal. But implants do have to come out. I can't live with them forever.
So for transition, all I did was hormones and top surgery, and then just appear as much as I could as a woman. To detransition, I had to get those implants removed, cut my hair, change my outfit, and reconstruct my chest. Now, luckily, for those who weren't here in the beginning, you heard, and if you already know my story, they wanted to give me bottom surgery. They gave me the letter, but luckily I dodged that bullet.
So for me, I just had the top surgery. I never had interest in taking or in hormone replacement therapy.
And the last thing I want to do is put out a message that full detransition is possible. You know, in many cases, your body is permanently altered. Like in my case, you can go fully back to the person you used to be. Taking artificial hormones is not the same as having natural hormone in you and having testicles to regulate your hormonal levels. Because testicles, gonads do play a large part in how hormones are regulated. Buying artificial hormone, putting it in yourself is just not the same, you know?
What are your Twitters so they can follow you guys?
Shifter of Shapes.
Official Able G.
Get better tweets.
And Casey Miller 1225.
Yeah, I'm gonna, for people that are watching this after, I'm gonna include all your Twitters in the bio of the. All right, good night, guys. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and go and follow me on Rumble, of course, because I am the only, if not one of the only, YouTube lesbians speaking out against the gender ideology bullshit. See you guys next week.